A very good day to you, saints. My name is Pastor Lawrence Mazenge, and welcome to Daily Inspiration. Today we are reading from the book of John chapter 13, verses 2 and 5. The Bible says, "And supper being ended, the devil having now put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him. After that he poured water into a basin, and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with the towel wherewith he was girded." Our message this morning is titled, "Wash your enemies' feet." Wash your enemies' feet. Ladies and gentlemen, we are having a scenario here where Jesus is in the upper room together with his disciples. All the disciples were there, the 12 disciples. The Bible says, and when he was in that upper room, he took a basin and he began to wash the feet of his disciples. As he began to wash the feet of his disciples, it was not the duty of Jesus Christ to do what he was doing. Washing of the feet was the duty of the servant in that household. And I believe in that upper room there was a servant there, and most probably their feet had already been washed by a servant if the servant was a responsible servant. But what Jesus was doing here was signifying his humility, was signifying his servanthood, and was also going in contrast to the mindsets of the disciples, because shortly before that they had argued amongst themselves, arguing who was the greatest among themselves. So here Jesus Christ is trying to show them that for you to be great, you have got to be the least. For you to be great, you have got to be the servant. So this is what Christ was trying to do or to show unto his disciples. He was doing things that were contrary to their mindsets, because the Messiah in their mindsets was the Messiah who had come to conquer like David, was the Messiah who had come to conquer physical battles. But Jesus Christ was now trying to show them that I brought a new ideology. If you want to be the greatest, you've got to be the servant amongst the people that you are serving. Now, but my story here is not with the washing of the feet, but my story here is with the washing of the feet of one of the disciples named Judas Iscariot. The Bible, where we have read in verse 2, it says, "And Satan had entered into the heart of Judas Iscariot in order for him to be able to betray Jesus Christ." But when Jesus Christ came, he began to wash the feet of all his enemies, including Judas Iscariot. The only funny thing, or the only funny part about this scripture, is that it was Simon Peter who refused Jesus to wash his feet. And Jesus said unto him, "If I don't wash your feet, you are not going to partake of this kingdom." And then Simon Peter says, "You can even wash together with my hands and my head." But Jesus Christ said, "It is enough for me when I have washed your feet. But as I am washing you, all of you are clean, but one of you is not clean. For surely one is going to betray me." One thing that challenges me about this scripture is that amongst the disciples, Jesus Christ knew that there was an enemy. In the camp, Jesus Christ knew that there was an enemy, but he did not isolate the enemy as he was washing the feet of the disciples. He washed the feet of every disciple. Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus Christ was bringing a new ideology in this world. Remember, he was dealing with people who are used to an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Right now, he was now teaching them another new ideology, another way to treat your enemies. You don't need to take the eye off your enemy, but you need to wash the feet of your enemies. The Bible, in the book of Matthew chapter 5, verses 38 to 39 says, "You have heard that it has been said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. But I say unto you, that ye resist not evil, but whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him on the other also." Ladies and gentlemen, the things that Jesus Christ began to teach, the doctrine that Jesus Christ began to teach was so hard to a level where even at one point all the other people, all the thousands of people that used to gather around him, went away from him except the 12 disciples. And he said unto Peter, "Are you also going to desert me and leave?" And Peter said, "No, we have got nowhere else to go, for we have left everything and followed you." I want you to understand, ladies and gentlemen, as difficult as it might be, as difficult as it looks, you need to be able to have the ability to wash the feet of your enemy. The problem that we have with today's generation is that the moment you discover an enemy in your life, you go to social media and you write about them. You go to your WhatsApp status and you write about them. But let me tell you what to do. When you have got an enemy, the best way to deal with an enemy is to wash their feet. even together with the disciples that you are going to leave an assignment for. It is not your duty and your responsibility to fight an enemy, because you are too weak to use your physical ability to fight any enemy if you are a true believer. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. When you begin to retaliate physically on your enemies, you are getting into their own zone. And when you are into the zone of the enemy, you can never conquer the enemy. The enemy's zone is the flesh zone. When he is in the flesh, when they are in the flesh, they are swimming like fish. But when you are in the flesh, you are like a fish that has been taken out of the water. So I want you to understand, ladies and gentlemen, when you have got people who are plotting against your life, when you have got people who are planning against your life, this is not the time to tell them that I know what you are doing. When God has released a revelation upon your life about an enemy, this is not the time to say I know what you are doing. This is the time to wash their feet. This is the time to take them an extra mile. This is the time to act like a fool, as if you don't know what is happening. Jesus Christ knew that Judas Iscariot was about to betray him. And he says unto his disciples, one of you surely is going to betray me. He did not grab Judas by the collar. Neither did he do anything to embarrass Judas Iscariot. Some of the missions of your enemies in this life are missions that are empowered by God. Those missions are the ones that are going to take you to your destiny. There are certain things that we are supposed to do in life, but we can never do them if no one is going to push them into them. You can never voluntarily go onto the cross until Judas Iscariot has sold you out. There are some people who learn swimming by being pushed into the deep end of the waters. Today they are thanking those people who pushed them, because if they had not done so, they were never going to be able to swim. Your enemy is pushing you into the deep end, but I want to tell you something. God is waiting for you at the deep end. Never mind what the enemy is gonna be doing. Tomorrow they are gonna come to you and they are going to kiss you by the kiss of betrayal. Don't worry about that. I want you to know something. Wash the feet of your enemies. As you are washing the feet of your disciples, wash the feet of your enemies as well. Don't listen to what the world tells you. Don't go to the social media and say, I know what you are doing. Don't type on your status and say, I know what you are doing. Leave them alone. Let God deal with your enemies. Do your responsibility. Wash their feet. If you understand what I'm saying today, you will never have a headache against your enemies. Because here the Bible is saying, and Judas and the devil had entered into the heart of Judas Iscariot, which means to say Judas was not himself. It was the devil who had entered. The major problem that we are facing today amongst Christians is that we are opening the door to the devil, because he has already entered into someone else. If the devil has entered your brother, close the door and don't allow the devil to enter you. But if the way you react from your enemies determines whether you have opened the door for the devil or not. Ladies and gentlemen, the best way to deal with your enemy is to wash their feet, break bread, and give them a peace. Don't fight back. It is God's responsibility to fight. Jesus Christ did not fight Judas. Judas killed himself after he had realized what he had done. When the devil finishes using your enemies, he will abandon them and they are going to be embarrassed. Let me tell you something from the Old Testament. When David was anointed and when he had killed Goliath, he raised the wrath of Saul against his life. But David did not retaliate upon Saul on any single day. Even after the day of Saul's death, David mourned Saul as if he was mourning his parent. And the person who came to David and lied that he had killed Saul, David instructed his men to kill that man. Why? Because he washed the feet of his enemy. When Saul was possessed by a demon, it was David who would come and play for him. And after that demon is gone, Saul would try and stab David with a spear. But David would run away. He had so many chances to kill Saul, but he still respected him as the anointed one of God. Ladies and gentlemen, even when David was under attack from his own son Absalom, there was a man called Shimei who came unto David and began to throw stones at him. And people wanted to finish off Shimei. But David said, let him do what he is doing. Where am I? Maybe the Lord will hear his insult. and will save me today. Some of the things that your enemies are saying against you are being heard by the Lord as your prayers. And one day those prayers are going to be answered and your enemies are going to hang upon their gallows. Let me tell you something this morning. Never ever retaliate upon your enemy. Because when you are retaliating against your enemy, you are being recruited to the camp of the devil. But when you wash your enemy's feet, you are becoming a child of God, your Father. Wash the feet of your enemies. God bless you and have a good day.